Whitefish.
Tov. Today's daf is daf Kuf Dalet in Ksubas as we learn for Shlomo for Elazar Rule from the top of the page. Good nisrachak to everybody. We'll continue the discussion of Rebbe's death. The day that he died, Gazar Rabban Tani said the rabbis decreed a fast in order to keep him perhaps from dying. He was very, very, very ill, and they go to fast. And they begged for mercy from God. Whoever reports that he has passed away should be stabbed with a sword. In other words, we don't want to hear those words that he died. So the Rebbe Legra, his own maidservant, went up to the roof, Amra, and she said, Rebbe, the upper levels, meaning heaven wants Rebbe, meaning they want him to, heaven wants him to ascend and to die. Rebbe, and here down on earth, we also want Rebbe to live. May the lower levels, meaning maybe we here on earth overpower the will of the ones above, from the angels. Keeping the chazoi kamazimni dial, basically say Rebbe had a very bad gastrointestinal disorder, and she saw him constantly going to the bathroom. He had to take off his tefillin every time he went to the bathroom, and then he had to put them on, and it was very disturbing to him to constantly do this. Come star, and he was very upset by having to do this constantly, run to the bathroom. Amra, she said, you know what? He's better off if he dies, and may the upper levels overpower the lower levels. But the rabbis had not stopped davening, and as long as they continued to daven, like they kept him alive. Shakla Kuza, she took a small, like a vial, a jar. Shadia Migra, she threw it down from the roof, I guess, to make the noise when it crashed and broke. La'ara, she threw it down to God. Ishtiku, Merachme, and suddenly, they heard a noise and they stopped davening for a second, and he passed away by that. Right, same as Rabbi Mel said that he was learning Torah the whole time until the tree shook. Right, the rabbi said to Bar Kapara, Zil Ayin, go investigate what happened to Rebbe, because we stopped davening for a second. Maybe something happened. Also, he saw that Rebbe had died. He rent his garments in mourning, but that he didn't want to report it. He didn't want to be the one, so to speak, whether he said he died or whether he comes out with a torn shirt or torn garment. Either way, that would be evidence. He'd be reporting that Rebbe had died. So he put the garment back. That he tore it because that he had to do halachically and say Dayan HaEmes. And then he put it back, so to speak. He put it back. The hadre lekare, the tear he put back in place, so it shouldn't appear that he tore stuff. Pasach Yamar, and he started to say, Erei lema mitzukim, the angels and mitzukim. Mitzukim refers Rashi to the tzaddikim who are pushed down on the earth. The angels and the tzaddikim achsu b'aron hakodesh. They both grabbed the aron hakodesh. Netzcher mitzukim, and the upper levels, the angels overpowered the tzaddikim. V'nishba Aron HaKodesh, and the Aron HaKodesh has been captured. Amalei. So they said to him, in other words, reported basically in a like in a story form, not in a story, like in a pardon? Poetic. In a poetic form, poetic form that Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei, they said nach nafshe. Has he died? Amalu atun kamer. So you said that. I won't say those words. The Shas B'Tasser, when he died, Zakaf Eser, as Boaz Kapimali, he put his 10 fingers up towards heaven. Amar Rabbanu Shalom, God B'Dul Fenecha. You know well, Shegati B'Eser Atzbosai, that I have toiled and worked hard with my 10 fingers, but Torah, not in work, but in Torah. And I haven't even had the pleasure from a small finger. In other words, and Rebbe was a wealthy man too, but he spent all his time in Torah and he didn't take any enough in this world. That there should be peace in my resting place. Let him come in peace. Let them rest on their beds, in plural. Says Gemara, what do you mean? He should come in peace and rest on his bed. What do you mean by their beds? When a tzaddik dies from this world, the ministering angels say before God, Rabbanu Shalom, Master of the world, Tzaddik Ploni Bo. This Tzaddik is arriving. Let's remember. Hashem tells them, Yavo Tzaddikim, let the Tzaddikim come. V'yetz l'kraso. Okay, the Tzaddik is coming. Oh, the Tzaddik is coming. Okay, all the Tzaddikim who are already up in heaven, may they rise up from the resting place and go out to greet him. But they say, Yavo b'shalom, come in peace, greet him. Then Yanuchal mishkavosam, after they greet him in peace, then they should rest on their, that's what he means by their beds, may they rest on their resting places. Amar Belazar, when a tzaddik dies, 3 different groups of ministering angels go out to meet him. One says, come in peace. He goes in the right way. Rashi says, he is coming in the right way, meaning he's coming as a tzaddik with his mitzvahs. One say, let him come in peace, and then they should rest on their places, meaning those who greet him should go rest on their places. When a Russia is lost from the world, notice he says, B'shasha and Niftim and Olam, he's potiv, and not lost mineral because that's where he is, he's lost. 3 destructive angels, 3 groups of destructive angels come to meet him. Yotzes L'Grosso. One says, Ein Shalom Hashem, quotes the pasuk that in Yeshaya that there is no peace for the Sham, says God. Right? There is no peace for you guys. He will rest in sorrow. Go down and rest with the uncircumcised, and that's where you belong. All right, calls my back to our issue of the wife who is now, let's say, she's an almana, has lost her husband, and she's not remarried yet, and she's entitled to mazonos. Besides her ksuba, she's entitled to mazonos as long as she's not remarried. But where? Okay, we said in the previous mission that sometimes she wants to live in her father's house. After all, it's not proper sometimes for her, if she's a young woman, to live with the sons in the house, especially then they may not be her sons, they might be just her stepsons. So she might want to live, she might be more comfortable in her father's house. She might be more comfortable in the house of her husband, depending on the circumstances. So the mission is like this: as long as she's in her father's house, meaning after her husband died, she went to live in her father's house. She can collect her ksuba forever, meaning she can get mazonas, as we said before. How much mazonas does she get? Well, the Orshim could say, if you live with us in the house, we're a bunch of people over here, you just get one portion. We have to send food to you, that costs more money. We're only going to give you as much as you would get if you were here in the house, because when there's a lot of people in the house, food goes around, there's nothing wasted, etc. Okay, so they have to feed her, but how long? Basically, she can collect her ksuba. That means that she's fed forever as long as she's not remarried. And her ksuba she can always collect. There's no limit. Bala, if she's in her husband's house after her husband died, go only for 25 years. What's the reason for that? So this is the Tanakama Rav Meir. So listen, she's in the house, in her husband's house. She has friends or neighbors. Sometimes she invites them for a piece of cake. In other words, during 25 years of living in a house, it can be assumed that she gave away from the household budget, from the food in the house. She gave enough away that she got her ksuba already. Because she gave enough away just living in the house. And if she has a friend, she invites them for dinner or whatever. So she gave that much. That's Rav Meir Shapiro. Rav Meir says, if she's in her father's house, she can collect it forever, because she's not taking anything from the children's Yerusha, so to speak. But if she's in the husband's house where she gives stuff away, she has a limit of 25 years, and that's it. Now we're going to talk about that 25 years in more detail. That's what Rav Meir said. He said name Shem Galil. The Chum disagree. We'll see. We pass the Chum. They say it's the other way around. There was a 25 years, but it's the other way around. Not 25 years limitation if she's in her husband's house because she gives it away. 25 years is for a different reason. The Chum just the opposite. She based Ba'alo. If she's in her husband's house, she can collect her ksuba forever. As we'll see, the reason why, because she's embarrassed. She's living with the kids in the house. She's eating their food. She's embarrassed to ask for a ksuba. They're feeding her. But if she's in her father's house, meaning that until 25 years, even though she's collecting zonos, she can only get a ksuba for 20, because if she wants a ksuba, she should have demanded it. She's not living with the kids anyway. But if she's living with the kids, she's embarrassed to ask for the food, for a ksuba. And therefore, since she's embarrassed, she can ask for it forever. So the 25 years is, we say, meaning if she's in her father's house, give her 25 years. If she didn't ask for the ksuba within 25 years, that's a long time. They didn't live like in those days. 25 years, you can assume she was malchol the ksuba. But if she's in the house of her husband with the children, you can assume that No, the reason she didn't ask for the ksuba is because she's embarrassed. She wasn't mochel. She's just embarrassed to ask for it. So that's the chacham shita. That's the exact opposite of Rav Meir Shapiro, but it's a different reason. Is the reason of 25 years according to Rav Meir, because if she's in the husband's house, she's going to give away that much anyway. Give it away from the ksuba. Then the chacham say no. The 25 years is an embarrassment limitation. That if she's in her father's house, she wouldn't be embarrassed, so she should have asked for the ksuba. If she didn't ask for the ksuba, she was mochel the ksuba. If she's in her husband's house, she's embarrassed to ask for it, and therefore we give her forever. Mesa, let's say she dies. If she died, and before she died, she swore that she didn't get her ksuba, Yorsheh maskim ksubasa ad esem chamshet. Yorshim can collect the ksuba for 25 years. There's a shalom among the mefarshim, 25 years from when? From the time she died, from the time the husband died, from the time what? Right now, well, that's a shalom what that means. Amarle abaylo of Yosef. Anisha B'Yisrael doesn't understand. You're saying that according to Rav Meir, what's the idea over here that of the 25 years? If she's in the husband's house, she only gets 25 years. Why? According to Rav Meir, because she would have given that much away anyway. So I understand. It depends on the kind of a woman. Anisha B'Yisrael Umarsa Bas Baisis, Martha, the son of Baitus, a famous, very wealthy woman with a big suba. How can you say the same 25 years? You give away the same amount, 25 years, a poor person, a rich person, you're putting them in the same category. How can you just make one rule of 25 years for everybody? According to the camel is the weight that he can carry, meaning a rich person, yeah, her ksuba is much more, but she also gives away a lot more, right? And a poor person, a small ksuba gives away less. What about can you do proportionally? That question stands, which is obviously a very good question. According to the Chachamim, that the reason for the 25 years is the other way around. It's 25 years. If she didn't ask for it in 25 years, she's mochel. If she's in her father's house, if she's in the husband's house, she's too embarrassed. So the issue is an embarrassment issue. According to Meir, the issue is in 25 years she would have given her that much cake and coffee and meat and stuff like that away anyway, right? But if it's 25 years, she would have given it away. So after 25 years, she can't ask for ksuba anymore. Okay, wait a minute. But if you're saying it because she gives that much away, so you should go proportionally. Okay, let's say after 12 and a half years, would she lose half her ksuba? You understand? She doesn't give it all away for the last day of the 25 years. So would you say it goes proportionally according to him? Is that shot in Meir? Take it. We don't understand. We don't know. The Chum calls my. The Chum say again, as long as she's in her husband's house, she's embarrassed to ask for it. She can ask forever. But if she's in her father's house, right, then she only has 25 years. What are you saying this? After 20, if she's in her father's house, up until 25 years, she can collect ksuba. After 25 years has passed, if she hasn't asked for it, we assume that she is mochel. 25 years passed, and you're saying it's exactly 25 years to the day. That means if she asked for it right before Shkia, she gets a ksuba. She waited till after Shkia, she doesn't get the ksuba. 25 years waiting, and it's like a sense. So by he porta achlisu, in that little amount, she 17 years passed, 18 years passed, she wasn't mochel. But in 25 years, right after Shkia, that's when she's mochel.
Statute of limitation.
Yes, statute of limitation. That little bit she was mochel. Amalei ain't. The Chum gave a shiur. You go by that. You put a peg in the ground, like Rashi says, and that's the limit. That's it. That's a shiur Chum. Like for example, a mikvah. The Torah says you have to be tovel in a mikvah that holds a person. So the Chum said, how much holds an average person? 40 saw. If you take a drop away, you're not like we learned. If there's a mikvah, it's exactly 40 saw, and one guy goes into the mikvah and comes out, and he's gone. That's it. It's not good anymore because he got some drops on him. Right? That's the rules of the Chum. I'm Rabbi Rav. Hey, Rabbi Shmuel ben Yossi.
I don't understand this tomorrow. You can say the same thing about the mikvah. If you're going to start asking these questions,
that's exactly it. From the mikvah, you see, once the Chum give a rule, you go by that rule.
But you just asked.
No, that's an example. No,
it's just the same question.
You could, and the answer is that the Chum gave a shiur. That's it. You accept the Chum, and you could ask the question. Does it make sense?
What's the raya for mikvah? There's no raya for mikvah.
The raya for mikvah is that a mikvah that's kosher and is losing a drop.
Right.
Are you going to really say that in one drop you couldn't cover you? The answer is logically, one drop doesn't make any difference, but the Chacham gave a shear, you have to go by that shear, and that's the rule. You're right that it may make a difference that you can't. It may not really make logical sense, but those are the rules of the Chacham, and you have to go by that. You have to go by that.
You should say that's the rule.
That's the rule. The proof is from the mikveh, because by the mikveh you could ask the same. That's exactly it. Because you could ask the same question by the mikveh, and you can't, and you don't. The answer is because those are rules of Chacham. That's exactly the point. Exactly the point. Ask the kasha on the mikveh, and you can't ask the kasha on the mikveh because logically you could ask the kasha on the mikveh even better than this case.
Why?
But
why is it different in this case?
I think we're just going in circles. We're just going in circles. They're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. Why don't you ask the kasha on the mikveh? It's a better kasha. One drop is not going to make a difference if it covers a person. The answer is the Chacham said 40 saw. That's the rule. Period. Don't ask a kasha on the shear of the Chacham. And same thing over here. I think you're saying the same thing. All right. Amar Rav. Hey, Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi Lifnei Rabbi. He said in front of Rabbi Shomer Shumav. He said the name of his father. I think that means Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel's father. Lo Shalish ain't shtak subah. This whole mission is talking about when she doesn't have a shtak subah. After 25 years, she's coming. What are we saying? In certain cases, according to Rav Meir, according to Chum, after 25, she can't collect anyway. It's only she doesn't have a shtak subah. She has the ksubah, she can collect. The whole issue is if she didn't have a ksubah and she's collecting based on the fact that she swore she never collected ksubah, nobody claims that she has the ksubah. She doesn't have a ksubah, but she has the ksubah itself. Of course, she can collect. Even if she has a ksubah, and she can only collect till 25 years. So here is a real difference of opinion here. What is our Mishnah speaking about? Master Rav Sheshes, the Vesh is going to ask a kasha now on the first shita. The first shita of that we said, hey, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef, hey, Rabbi Sham Shemaviv, that our Mishnah is only speaking if you didn't have a ksubah. If you had a ksubah, you can always collect. What is he asking from? Master Rav Sheshes, Baal Chov Gover Shlov. Let's say a Baal Chov, a creditor. He can collect the money even though he hasn't said anything about it. Many years have passed, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. He hasn't said anything about collecting it, but he can come and collect with it. He can come and collect it. Now, how can he collect? If he doesn't have a star, if he doesn't have an IOU, what is he collecting with? He's got a star in his hands. Makes sense. This is over here. That even though he hasn't mentioned anything for 25 years or 30 years, whatever, he can collect. Why? Because he has a star. Why? He's not, why would he be mochel? He lent the money. Of course, he doesn't leave mochel alone. That's why he's collecting. Allah never really lent out the money. It's just that the rabbi said she's entitled to money. Even though she has the ksuba. Because this case must be speaking around with the Balchov has the stars, the IOU. Otherwise, what is he collecting with? And we say over here, a Balchov can always collect, even though he doesn't mention Mashma Dafka Balchov, a creditor. Creditor makes more sense. He lent the money, he wants his money back. And Almana never really lent the money. She's just entitled to the money. Mashma over here, Dafka Balchov, not an Almana. Who most of them Farkla, but he asked the Kasha, the Sheshis, and he also answered it. It's possible that the Balchov also is speaking about where he didn't have a star. All he's saying is that where the debtor, the Alova, admits that he owes the money. You haven't come for 30 years. Okay, that you're right. I do remember. You lent me the money. I'll pay you back. Maybe that's what it's speaking about. So Balchov can collect, even though he hasn't mentioned anything. But if the Alova is Moda, you can collect. Ivor Malashon and Grusha, you even learn about a Grusha. A divorced woman is also entitled to Ksiba. Hareik Balchov, right? Grusha is never going to be Mochel, right? She's pretty upset, right? You divorced her. She wants her Ksiba. Again, if she doesn't have a ksiba, my God, what is she collecting with? If she has a ksiba. A grusha is like a balchov that she's collecting. And apparently she has a ksiba. Otherwise, what is she collecting with? Because she's not going to be, right? She's not going to be mochel because she's upset that she's divorced. Ha'almana, it's mashman almana, would be mochel even though she has the ksiba in her hand. And this goes against the first shita that says that Amish is speaking out even she has a ksiba. This is no. Maybe it's speaking about where the husband, even though he divorced her, he's motivated that he hasn't paid the ksuba. So maybe this whole king is speaking about where there was no ksuba, there was no IOU. But if there was a ksuba, maybe you can collect forever, as we'll see, and that seems to be the case. I'm not my Yitzchak Tani Rav Yehuda Bar Koza, that Rav Yehuda Bar Koza was a chacham. Rashi says was a Talmud chacham. The Masnisa, the Bay Bar Koza, in the Brisas of the yeshiva of Bar Koza, Tavak Subasa. Let's say she claimed her ksuba. We're talking about a case she hasn't said anything for 25 years. So can she collect after 25 years or not? So we saw the machlokes Rav Meir and Chachamim, depending on the case, each way a little differently. But if she claimed the ksuba at any point, Areka Tulas is like the 25 years starts all over again. Even though she has 25 years, But if during the 25 years she claimed that the 25 years, the clock starts again from that point. But if she has the star, like we just said, hey, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shemashamav of Lo Sham Shein Ksuba. That's a whole mission speaking about the 25 years is only if she doesn't have a ksuba. She has a ksuba, right? If she has a ksuba, go to Olam. Shalach le Rav Nachman bar Rav Chisda le Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. He asked this question. I'm then going to teach us, Rabbi. Is the Mishnah talking about when she has a star ksuba, and still we have machlokas Rav Meir and the Chachamim, each one saying that after 25 years, under certain circumstances, you can't collect. Or again, is our Mishnah speaking about, like we said, that there's no, the first opinion that there's, our Mishnah speaking about there's no ksuba. That's where you have the issue of the 25 years. Man, who is Allah like? So Shalach Le, he said, Machlokas and Mishnah remain in the Chachamim is when there is no shtar ksuba, like we've been saying. There's no shtar ksuba. If she has a star, she can collect forever. And the halacha is like the chacham, that what? That when there is no shtar ksuba and she's in her father's house, that's only till she only has till 25 years to claim the ksuba. Right? Even if she claimed that the 25 years starts again, but if she hasn't said anything for 25 years and she's been living in her father's house where they've been sending the food to her or not, if she didn't want the food, she can only claim for 25 years. Otherwise she's mofo. But if she's in her husband's house, then the assumption is she's too embarrassed to ask. And therefore, Allah is like the Chachamim. Kias Rav Dimi, when Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael, Rav Shimon Pasi, he quoted Rav Shimon Pasi, Rav Shuba Levi, Mishum Bar Kapar, Lo Shanu Ella Mana Masayim, right? Notice Bar Kapara was also, the Rabbanan sent to Rebbe lived in Eretz Yisrael, and the rabbis, we had Bar Kapara and Aleph over here, that they sent Bar Kapara to investigate if Rebbe had died after the jar fell on the floor. So here we have Bar Kapara gets in there. The whole business we're talking about, the 25 years and she can't collect, etc., if there's no ksuba, is only the basic ksuba, the $100 or $200. Aval tosfos, but the extra part, yeshla, she's entitled to it. Why? Because that's a gift, and the gift she doesn't have to renege on. They can't renege. He's dead, or whatever, divorce her. She's always entitled to that. She's not entitled to that. The conditions of the ksuba, like the ksuba itself. Don't just say that the extra amount is a gift. The first opinion is that the extra part is not part of the ksuba. It's just the sefer that he gave her. That the ksuba she was mochel, but not the extra part. Now Rabbi Yanai says no. Tanai ksuba is like the ksuba itself. That's only the basic. But the extra amount you can also. The extra amount is she's entitled to give as a gift. So Rav said to Rav Huna, Rav Hachi. Rav Huna quoted Rav, who said that's only the basic 100 or 200, but the extra part she gets. So Rav Abba said to Rav Huna, Rav Hachi, did Rav really say that? Lay says, what do you mean by your question? Did Rav really say that? Is Shtikin coming? Are you trying to shut me up, saying it doesn't make sense that Rav said that? Could Rav have really said that? Oh, is Shkayin coming? Or are you so happy that you'll give me a drink of wine? Like you're really happy that Rav said that you can collect. Amalei Ishtakin Kamina. I meant to say that it makes no sense what he said, meaning that the Tanai Ksuba, like Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan says, I feel Tosas Einla, because the rule is that Tanai Ksuba. So in terms of the 25 years, again, if she has the Shtar Ksuba, she can collect forever. She's got an IOU. If she doesn't have the Shtar Ksuba, the Rabbanan said that if she's in her father's house, she only has 25 years. 25 years is both for the ksuba and for the extra amount. Chamsei to Rav Chia Aricha. Now here's an interesting story, family issues. Okay. Chamsei to Rav Chia Aricha. Rav Chia Aricha, the longer, the tall Rav Chia. The tall Rav Chia, now he was married to a woman whose mother, that would be his mother-in-law, Insasachva, was married to his own brother. Now, let's get this straight. Rav Chia was married to a woman, and his brother was married to her mother. Okay, so his brother's wife was his mother-in-law. Pardon?
Brother was his father-in-law?
Yeah, you could say that, right? His brother was like his father-in-law. Yeah. Finish the balance, okay? Let's call him stepfather-in-law, right? Yeah. Stepfather-in-law, okay? So Chamsa Rav Chia Aricha Insasa was married. This mother-in-law was married to Rav Chia's brother. And now his brother died. His brother died. Let's think for a moment. You can marry your niece. You can marry your niece. It could be really his father-in-law. It doesn't have to be his stepfather-in-law. It could be his father-in-law. Maybe his brother was much older, married a woman, had a child, and he married his niece. What's wrong with that, right? He can marry his niece. Okay. So whatever it was, whether it was a stepfather-in-law, whatever, we're looking at the mother-in-law. That's the issue over here. Okay. So Rav Chia's mother-in-law was married to his brother, and his brother died. No, it had to be it had to be a stepfather-in-law, as we'll see in a second. It had to be a stepfather-in-law. Why? Because he died with no children. Below Banim, right? So therefore, okay. So therefore, what happened over here? He died with no children. And therefore the wife, Rav Chia's wife, couldn't be a daughter because she would be a first Yorish, right? A daughter, if there's no sons, the daughter would inherit. So she wasn't a daughter. So who inherited when his brother died? When his brother died, his brother was not the father of Rav Chia's wife. Rav Chia's brother was not the father of his wife, because otherwise the wife would inherit. So what happened was, since he died and he left no children, who does the brother who gets the inheritance? Well, we go to the father, and if there was no father, we're assuming the father was dead, so went to the brother, who was Rav Chia himself. So Rav Chia's mother-in-law became a widow, right? Became a widow, and who inherited the stepson-in-law, Rav Chia himself. Okay. However, she had a ksuba, so he had to feed her, right? She was entitled to mazonos. Okay. So we got the case here, right? Insasach was married to his brother. She was married to his brother. And she went to live in her father's house. She didn't want to live with the daughter and son-in-law, right? So she went to live in her father's house. He fed her for 25 years, but Menashe in her paternal house. L'sof, after 25 years, Amalei, she said, "How give me my mazonos? I give you my mazonos." Amalei, lesach mazone. Right? In the father's house, she's only entitled to food for 25 years, like the Chachamim said in our Mishnah, right? She didn't have a ksuba, she didn't have the written ksuba. So, Amalei, less you know, comes us is having ksuba to give my ksuba. Amalei, lo mazoni islach, lo ksuba islach. Some say that when she demanded a ksuba, she's still entitled to mazonos. Margamar, it's mashma. When she doesn't get the mazonos anymore, the ksuba, they go together. She demands her ksuba, she doesn't get the ksuba or the mazonos. So here she asks for mazonos. She says it's 25 years have passed. You're not entitled anymore without a written document. And you're not entitled to ksuba. So she took him to court, I guess, to her choice of courts, as we'll see. She went to the court of Rabba Bar Shila, and she said, "Look, I'm entitled to my 25 years. Amalei." So he said to Rav Chia, now, can you imagine the family dynamic over here? He's married to her daughter, and they're fighting over the mazonos. After 25 years, he fed her, right? 25 years he fed her, and now they're fighting. Of course, this is the first time in the history of Jews that there's a family fight, right? It never happened before. Amalei, so Rav Shila said, Amalei, Emily, easy, tell me the truth. Gufa de Ubde, Hechavi, tell me the whole story. What was the story over here? Give me the whole background. Amalei, I fed her for 25 years, says Rav Chia, in her father's house. And I swear by your life, I schlepped her food on my own back, on my own shoulder. I schlepped her the food there. Amalei, so he said, you know what? Time my Amarabanan calls my Shabbat Bala. Remember, she was now in her father's house. In her father's house, well, she only has 25 years according to the Chachamim. In her husband's house, she has forever. Why? Why do they say that there's no 25-year limit in her husband's house? Because she's embarrassed, right? Right. Time in my Rabban calls my Shabbat Bala, go back to Basam, she can go like forever. Because he said she was embarrassed. She didn't ask, she didn't claim the money because she was embarrassed. Here also, she was embarrassed. You went to all this work. She is your mother-in-law, and you went schlepping her food like a good boy. You schlepped her food all the time, and she's embarrassed to ask for it. You know, you're married to her daughter, and you schlepped her the food. She's embarrassed. She didn't ask for it because of that. She was embarrassed. Rashi says, you gave her such kavod. That's why she was embarrassed to ask for it. Therefore, she's still entitled, even though the 25 years has passed. Zil havla, go feed her. That's what This is what Rabbi Bar Shila paskin. Lo ashkach. He didn't listen. He measures. He didn't listen to the psak of the court. He liked his own court better, so he didn't listen. So he didn't listen. So Rabbi Bar Shila wrote a document like that shows, like that claims an authorization that an authorization, like he handed her like an authorization document which authorizes her to make a claim on any properties that Rafia has.
He was yours from his brother, right?
Right.
So the property of the brother, not any property, the property that he had on his own.
Excellent question. This is going to be the problem. The document that he wrote, the authorization that he wrote, should have been written only on property that was in the Yerusha from the brother, not on his own. So Rabbi Bar Shila made a mistake over here. We'll see you're getting to the crux of the issue because this fight's going to go on. On his nechasim, in general on his nechasim. Also came Rabba, they came before Rabba. Now, he didn't like the psak and he didn't like the adrachta, he didn't like this authorization. Came before Rabba. Amalei Chazimar Hechidanan. Look how this Rabbi Shila has judged me, that I have to pay now, even though 25 years has passed, because she was too embarrassed to ask for it. Amalei Shapir Danach, he did the right thing, because the reason is she would have been embarrassed to ask for it, so she's still entitled to claim it. Amalei, so now, had the case stopped here, Rav Chia would have had to pay her, right? Would have had to pay her mazonas and ksuba, because now his own court, the court that he went to, Rava's court, confirmed what Rabbi Bar Shila did. However, she went a step too far. Sometimes tafasta meruba lo tafasta. What happened? So now Rava confirmed the psak that she got from Rabbi Shila, that she's entitled to the mazonas and the ksuba even after 25 years. Amrlei, okay, if I'm entitled, leza lahadli peri dimenahu yoma. From the day that they wrote the authorization, that Rabbi Shila wrote the authorization that I can make a claim on the nechasim, I want the payers from them. In other words, that land belongs to me. From that day that he confirmed that I have a claim, okay, that piece of land, let's say there was a piece of land that matched the amount of her ksuba, that's my land. Meanwhile, this court, they've been going back and forth to court, it's been taking time, etc. What about the payers accrue? He's been eating the payers, I'm entitled to the payers from that day, from the day after. Now, there's a machlokas, there's three machlokas Rashi brings down by the drachta. From when is she entitled? From the time that it was written, from the time that you got, from the time that it was signed, or from the time that after the authorization was given, she made a claim on the land and they had a public announcement for 30 days to confirm the price, etc. But anyway, from that day that I'm entitled, I want the payers from them. Ara idna. I want those extra payers too. In other words, now they're really fighting, right? First, he didn't want to pay her. Then she got two court opinions that says that he has to pay her. Now she says, okay, if he has to pay me, I want it from the day that I made the claim that I had this authorization. From that time till today, I want all the payers. Maybe there was a full crop in between. So now Rava said to, okay, you have a claim you want to show that from the day of the drafta. Show me the drafta. May I see your authorization? Let me check it. It wasn't written in there. A proper authorization has to say she's entitled to go collect. And we have ascertained that these assets belong to the mess, belong to the dead person. Who would that be? Rav Chia's brother, right? In other words, a proper adrach is written. Here's an authorization that she can go claim from these lands, from these properties that we have ascertained really belong to the mess. That wasn't written in there, but rather, like Irving said, he wrote the adrachta make a claim on all Rav Chia's property. This authorization is not written properly. So forget about that drachta. Okay, I don't want from the day that it was written, the day that the drachta was written or signed or handed over to me, but after the drachta was done, there was a public announcement for 30 days about, to confirm what it was worth. So give it to me from then. Okay, forget about the document. I'm not going by the date of the document. The document was improperly written, fine. But we did find property, and there was a public announcement that is, give me from that. That only works. The basis for the claim in which you found property and then you had a public announcement was based on the adrachta. That only works when there's no mistake in the adrachta. If there's a mistake in the adrachta, we can't look at this adrachta at all. Now we're not going right. We can't use this adrachta at all. You can't claim it, and therefore you're not entitled to any other payrolls. Now we're not going into the issue of okay, but she can claim from now, right? Because Rava confirmed the court that what the previous court said, that yeah, she has a claim that even after 25 years because she was too embarrassed to ask for it. Okay, but the adrachta that they had that made a claim, let's say from months before, from whenever it was, that she should get the payers, that won't work. She said, wait a minute. You yourself, Rava said, if you write an IOU, if an IOU is written, right? Maybe sometimes you lend money and I lent you $100. I trust you. There's no, that's Valpad, right? But if you write it in a document, even though you borrow money from me, they don't write in the document that I have the right to collect from all your property, etc. Even though that's not written in there, it's a mistake. Because why would I write it in a document? Because I want to be able to go after to give me a lien to collect your property that you sell, let's say, subsequent to my loan. So that's a whole makshela is achrayas. If you didn't write achrayas, the obligation that you commit, you the borrower commit that I can go after all your property that's sold or that you got afterwards. I'm entitled to that property that after this loan. If you left that out, it's a mistake, but it's considered as if it's in there. You yourself, Rabbi, say so this is just a mistake. You left out the words, and we have ascertained that these properties belong to the mess. So Rabbi said no. Here you can't say tosofer. A mistake of the sofer, you can say the scribe made a mistake. He left something out of the boilerplate. But here, Rabbi Barshila, the rabbi, the first judge, he made a mistake. Afilu Rabbi Barshila toy. He made a mistake because he said, go after, I'm authorizing you to go after Rav Chia's property. You can't go after Rav Chia's property. You go after the property of Rav Chia's brother's property, the guy who died. I feel Rabbi Shiltoi, Mikara, who sover Hani Bahani Didei. Rabbi Shil said, what's the difference? Rav Chia has all the property now, right? He has his own property and he has his brother's property. What's the difference which property you go after? Hani Bahani Didei, Mali Mahani, Mali Mahani. That's what Rabbi Shil said. But that's not the case. Zimin the Oslo Mishapli. Why? Because if you give her the wrong property, in other words, you go after Rav Chia's own property, right? She'll get that property and she'll take that and improve it. Udabala Mechseve, and the husband's property, meaning Rav Chia's brother's property, Rav Chia, not Rav Chia himself, he was a tzaddik, we assume, but somebody like Rav Chia might let that property go bad, go fallow. Why? Because he'll figure, listen, I know they're going to come after my property. They're going to come after the property anyway. I'm going to be able to make a claim on my own property. If they take the wrong property, they take my property instead of my brother's, I'll let her have my property. She'll improve it. I'm not going to till and soil and do all the take care of the property that she's going to eventually get. And later on, I'll make a claim, not Rav Chia, but somebody like Rav Chia. In other words, if they take the wrong property from me and improve my own property, they'll improve it. I'll let the property that they're eventually going to get go bad because I know that I'm going to lose that eventually. So I'll say Udabala, the one that belonged to her husband, meaning the one that she was entitled to, that'll go bad. Ba'amr law, and then this, not the Rav Chia, the guy like Rav Chia, the person who the claim is being made against, Ba'amr law, you take your property, and give me mine. And a stigma will arise on the Bezdin. The Bezdin didn't do properly, meaning Rav Rashil, who said, go after Rav Chia's property, figure, what's the difference which property he takes? The answer is, if you go after the wrong property, so you might get the wrong property, you're going to work that property, and the guy who the property was taken away from will figure, hey, let him take my property now, she'll improve my property, I'll let her property go bad, and then I'll make a claim and say, hey, I want my property back. Then it looks like Bezdin really messed up. So Rav Rashil really made a mistake. Therefore, the adrachta was invalid. And we end up the parak. I know say we end up the parak, but the story doesn't follow through. We don't see the end of the story. Presumably she'd still be able to collect her ksuba and mazonos going forward, or at least collect the ksuba. If she stopped once she made a claim for the ksuba, we usually hold that the mazonos is not forthcoming yet if she doesn't get mazonos. But she's entitled to the ksuba after 25 years, but only from now. She can't say, well, I wanted from the time that the original claim, the original claim that she's going to get the property, that she's entitled to the property, the original authorization that he or she can go and get the property, that authorization was improperly written and therefore is not valid. and she can only get it presumably from right now. So here's a lesson also about families and fighting and stuff like that. Nobody's talking about anymore. Did the mother speak to the daughter? Did the daughter speak to the mother? But that's apparently what happened.
Who lawyers made a bundle?
Yeah,
Who returned
Rava.
What was the mechanism? What did he do? An appeal?
Yeah, it was like an appeal, like it went to an appeal. Yeah.
A higher best?
Like a higher Besson, yeah. You went to Besson, you went to another Besson. See, apparently you can do that,
Yes. But you have a psak.
Since she went to her Besson.
Right.
What do we usually do today? If I have a fight with you, you pick a rabbi, I pick a rabbi, and the two pick them. Either we agree on the third one,
Right.
or the two of them pick a rabbi because of that issue. Remember, it says that she took him. She took him to her Besson, right? He didn't like it, so he went to his Besson. Right? He didn't like it. First, he didn't like it. They wrote an out. He went to his Besson, and his Besson said he's right, except you see, had she not said, it doesn't make any difference. If she said anything, she made it worse by demanding the payers in between. But at the end of the day, the Gemara doesn't tell us, presumably she's still entitled to the ksuba because Rava confirmed the first Beson's opinion. He confirmed the opinion that she's entitled, except since the document that claimed the authorization that entitled her to collect it was improperly written, she can't claim it from then. You'd have to write a new adrachta right now, or agree that she's going to get the property from right now. But that's the story. I'll pick him tomorrow, Mitzvah. Have a good day, everybody.
Sure.
New parak tomorrow.